So, 7 Minuten hat es gedauert, aber wir werden wieder international. Ich habe es eben gerade schon angesprochen. Eben hatten wir schon ein holländisches Unternehmen hier und ja, wir werden international. 2 internationale Gäste. Welcome to my studio. And as I just mentioned in the short intro, I will hand over to you, Peter.
Okay.
We already had some talks yesterday together, so I know that you will do it quite good. You know each other,
Yes,
you
we
know
do.
what to talk about, and so yeah, it's your stage.
Okay.
And I'm listening.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steven.
But if you have questions,
I
please
will-
ask them. Please ask them.
No question.
Okay,
I will
Rob.
jump in.
Rob Looyen, welcome. You're CEO of the Plato Group. Maybe it's a bit strange for the viewers because you're CEO of a company that has a supplier, distributors online, and a distributor like Compcon. Maybe you can introduce a little bit yourself and what you do within the Plato Group.
I started 3 years ago at the Plato Group. I worked for several companies, amongst others Philips. I've seen the brand, some of the people are using it at the moment, and it's more well known. But I was in B2B, but also in B2C. And all my life, I was on the other side, actually on the customer side of the promotion and gift item market. So I was purchasing several goods in the time when I was a marketing director. And so I was very used, and I can live myself into the, how do you say that, the feeling that what's the psychology behind the purchase of a big company, and how are they doing that? And I've seen many solutions I used myself in the past. In the time I was marketing director at Philips, for example, I had an iGo post catalog on my desk. And on the other hand, the next day I had a Compcon company, likewise, having chats about an unpacked promotion, which we have to do all around Europe, for example. So from the customer side, I've seen a lot, and that's, I think, a lot of help now within the company to do it. But on the other hand, we have 3 separate companies, as you said, and they are very independent because I don't want that the distributor are obliged to only purchase goods from the wholesaler, so that we try to keep it as free as possible. So it's more like iGo has an e-commerce platform and can purchase wherever they want. So a lot of suppliers I see here, and that's also the reason why the wholesaler is here at the PSI. And in the last 2-3 years, they have grown a lot. Wise, and that means also that we see the importance of the PSI as quite relevant for us as a company.
Maybe it's nice to mention that it's Clipper Interroll because
Yeah,
otherwise
Clipper
people don't
Interroll.
know.
That's true. Yeah, thank you.
So it's,
Yes,
it's next door, so it's outside my
therefore I was
area.
looking at it.
So it's really just a few meters next to us.
So we have Clipper Interroll, we have Compcon for the high end, more or less, multinationals throughout Europe, and we have iGo Promo as an e-commerce platform, where we try to look at convenience for people who are looking for gift items. And
If we look back at 24, how was the market for the 3 companies?
23 starting was a very good year, actually, especially the total year. We see a huge development in the e-commerce platform, and it's growing very, very fast due to the fact that we are increasing our products, but on the other hand, increasing markets where we're looking at. And we also see that customers are more looking at convenience instead of complex stories and looking only at one supplier. So they try to search as much as possible. So there we see a tremendous growth. The wholesaler at 23 was very good actually. 24 was the whole year excellent, but the last quarter, let's say, was flattened out a little bit more, and that's what we hear also in the rest of the industry as well. But so more in line with but
in line with the like the German and French economy, or what do you
No,
mean?
I think a little bit because of that we are based in the Netherlands, the home base is still the strongest part of it. But we're growing very fast in Germany and in France, and even in Italy and Spain we have some foothold now at the moment. But it's mainly it's still a big footprint in the Netherlands. And that was a little bit flattening out, but in December, it was compared to 23, it was a boost actually. So we saw, even there were less days due to the Christmas, but we saw a boost in that period. So we saw that several companies we're starting later in the season. Before it was October was already booming, and now was November and December we're going in the high skill.
From my point of view, Clipper Interroll, after the takeover of Interroll, have made huge steps on sustainability. To be honest, it's a fast turnaround.
Yeah.
Been a fast turnaround. Does that pay off right now, or do you see the difference also in clients? How?
Yeah, that's the percentage of the products what we are selling is increasing by 10% a year. So the Interroll group has gave us a boost, not only image-wise but also selling-wise, product-wise. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, I think, a quite positive, how do you say that, multiplier, which has helped us a lot. And therefore we have changed the name, because it was for 75 years it was Clipper, and now we changed it into Clipper Interroll. So just to emphasize the name and the image of Interroll Group, which it has had before we acquired it.
Okay. For me as a relative,
Whatever you are.
yeah.
For me,
I can
Quite an expert.
whatever.
I position Clipper Interroll as like a supermarket of sustainable brands. Is that correct? Because you're growing in sustainable brands every year.
Yeah.
Is that the strategy for the coming years, or?
Yeah, I've learned also, and I think the people, and we have some very good people at Clipper Interroll who have much longer history than I have in the industry. We said, well, we can develop a lot of things ourselves, but also you can find good brands and add it to your as a solution to your portfolio, and bring it to the market. And I think to bring it to the market, that's key for us. From history-wise, we are not or a very small part in textiles. So why should we invent the wheel ourselves and just develop that whole process? So if there are some strong brands which you can add, and if you are visiting the PSI and you're visiting the Clipper Interroll stand, you see actually that we have some shop-in-a-shop brands actually at our booth. So the cooperation is much intense, because the brands want to promote themselves and help us to success. So we try to do 1 and 1 should be 3, more or less, instead of us developing and spending time on it. Because then it's also, we have to invest in your own people to develop a certain market segment or product segment. And now you can extend that to others. We're taking care of that for ourselves, for us actually.
What, according to you, are the big trends now?
Sustainability, like you said, mentioned, I think that
Never goes away.
It never goes away. That remains,
Which is good.
Will only become bigger, and the consciousness of end consumers is much higher. Like I said, I worked at Philips. Recently I spoke a salesman of Philips, an old colleague, and he said to me, it's funny actually that you are in the gift item industry. And he said at the end of the story, when he was telling about lighting or other products of try to sell it, he said, I have had a training and I have to talk about 4 or 5 minutes about a little pen which I give away. And in the past he was throwing it at the table and then walk away, because then there was the Philips brand on it, and then he said maybe they're going to use it, and then it's good for the brand awareness. But now he said he had to talk about it as a story. So it's now storytelling, and he only gave 1 simple pen, €1, something like that, and tell about it. And there he mentioned the words biodegradable on it. So you see that customers are becoming much more aware and try to sell that as a proposition instead of their own product. So they're using gift items as a storytelling part of their philosophy. And that's, I think, a major step. And if smaller companies are starting to do that as well, then I think it goes very fast with sustainability in the whole branch. I think so.
Okay. Other trends that are worth mentioning?
I think, but also it's linked to sustainability, is looking at other inks and these kinds of things, but also linked to sustainability. Okay. So we have our own production site still in Helmond in the Netherlands. 300 people are working there. So we also have people.
Do you think in the future it's still in Holland? Because I can imagine that it's very difficult to compete with the the low wage countries
Yeah.
like Poland, Romania, and that kind of thing? Is it? Can you hold it up?
We've seen competitors move started in the other direction. On the other hand, we see a tendency that what we saw this year as well, that people are starting a little bit late and too late sometimes to get the products on time before Christmas. And then we have an advantage because we can deliver very fast and can produce very fast. But you're right, labor law and these kinds of things has changed. Salaries has increased. So you have to become more efficient. So if the salary increased with 5%, you have to become 7% more efficient. So that is a trend what we are looking at, robotization, automation, and then still, if you optimize the whole processes, and printing is a part of the total price. So of the cost, total cost of ownership, it's a part of it. But also we save on transport, for example, if we have a circle around the production area. And so from that footprint and ecological footprint, we are closer towards the existing customers at the moment. So from there, it's a balance. So, but we are looking also at alternatives and seeing what we can do elsewhere. So we are open on the developments and not looking at that point of view.
One more question, because it's always, it's probably you heard it like 100 times. You're a company with and the wholesaler and the distributors, online and traditional. You hear a lot of people say, "Ooh, that's a difficult position because it can't be independent at all." So is it true? I always hear rumors the distributor needs to buy at Clipper Interroll for a certain percentage to. What's true about that? How can you?
Let me. I have one question.
Yeah.
And,
Okay,
I wanted to ask, and maybe that's maybe kind of an answer about your Vita. You're now in the industry since 2 years.
What kind of term?
The Vita,
Oh,
your Vita. So you're now in the industry since 2 years. So you're not really into that industry, and the industry is special. For sure, you have learned in the last 2 years a lot about it, but you're not in since 30 years. I'm in 30 years. You since ever. And for sure, you do things differently than the others who has been in the industry for ages and decades. And maybe that's kind of an answer that you do things differently because you have a different approach. First of all, what attracted you to really get into the industry as a marketing director from Philips? Because we always discuss about we are not sexy enough. The industry is not sexy enough for new people, young people, very well experienced people from outside the industry to find the right people in the management, because it's always, we always have the outside view that we are only shit. Crap and shit, what we do, it's all rubbish. And so this is what always come, not always, but most of the time when you discuss about are we doing promotional items, it's like, boy, it's boring, it's cheap, it's not sustained. So what attracted you to really jump into the industry? And what is your approach to do things maybe different? Do you really think about how the industry is today and how you can do things differently, or you just do it differently because you have learned it from maybe the big companies you've worked for?
Part of, I think, in 3 years you cannot change a company who's existing 85 years, and that's, I think, also part of the answer. But the fact that we are existing 85 years, and in the last 3 years have been very lucrative, I would say, for the shareholders. And that's also a thing to mention. Shareholder is a foundation. So first of all, we invest again in the company, and the rest of the money which is left is going to the welfare. And we have spent the last 10 years, for example, 80 million, which I think 75% went to Africa, to all kinds of welfare organizations. And that's also something to mention, I think. If you and also from UN perspective, if you look at the SDGs and target settings, that's quite interesting for us as well. So that's different already, but I think I inherited something, and I will say you have to keep the good things and try to improve the bad things. the sexiness of the industry, I hear that a lot. But I study business economics and I did my MBA in the UK. And when I started, actually, I wanted to be in marketing. And one of the P's is promotion and these kinds of things. So I was always attracted to this kind of thing. And when a headhunter called me for Plato Group, I felt immediately, and I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm going to talk there. And she said immediately, this is something for you. So I think from that point of view, and I have already gray hair, so maybe for younger it's a little bit different, but I see the sexiness, and I think we acquired a lot of young guys already in the last couple of years who are having that same feeling. But you have to take them over a little bit and explain them a little bit who we are. But if you're walking around here on the PSI, I'm impressed. I have today a new CFO walking together with me as for the first time here, and he's very impressed about the industry, what's standing here. So I think sometimes we underestimate ourselves in the industry.
Yeah, but
And
especially
we are,
here on the PSI,
we are throwing pens on the table and these kind of things. And when I've learned this story from my old colleague, I tried to tell that story as much as possible to other people. I said it's a sexy industry because you can change a footpath in gift items, which is helping them because they will continue buying and acquiring gift items because it's still a tool which is quite important and it will continue. But you have to be creative and you have to look at sustainability as one of your genes, I would say, to survive in the future. And on the other hand, we try to separate the three companies, to come back on your question, as much as possible. They are reporting to me. They are reporting not to each other. So there's not of course, it's good that they acquire from each other, but it's like, I don't know if that's international, but we have in the Netherlands bol.com, or it's like Amazon, that we have a platform, it's called IGO, and IGO is purchasing from XD, is purchasing from PF, is purchasing from Clipper, but if they have a better solution, they can go to another supplier. So they're not obliged to purchase, but Clipper is trying to promote.
They really have to sell.
They have to sell. And that is the competitive way I'm trying to intervene, because traditionally we are from a family-owned company, and there it was all on together, and they were pushing that more. And I'm trying to keep the companies as independent as possible, and also with a market focus, not an internal focus. And that's the difference, I think, what we're trying to shape in that way. And we see that Toppoint, for example, we have grown a lot at the e-commerce platform with them and with PF in the past. And so it's not that we are saying, no, now we stop with certain percentage, or and then we purchase somewhere else. So it's not, at least not at my table, what has been discussed.
Whatever they do when they are talking to each other, it's not up to you.
No.
Let us talk a bit about PSI, because this is where we are. This is where we're now in the PSI studio. You just mentioned that you're together with your CFO. You showed him around and he was super impressed about it. What do you think about a PSI in total, the setup, the atmosphere, about the last 2 days, what will come today? So any insights?
Unfortunately, the snow is, I think, is maybe hurt.
Not really helping us.
No, it's helping us, but on the other hand, I think it's always a very good atmosphere. Although I'm here for the third time now, so that's. But I think it's not only German, because we are in Düsseldorf, but it's also international, and that's quite important because you see a lot of Dutch people actually here, but also French people we have seen at the booth. And
the first 2 days, a lot of US guys.
Even that.
Now already on the way to the PPAI. But we had a lot last year. We had a lot. So it's getting more and more international again, which is good.
Yeah, and I think due to the Corona period, it has shrinked a little bit. But I think now it's also maybe sometimes you see that quality is becoming better, and it's better to have the right customers. Instead of
exactly what everyone is mentioning. It's not quantity, it's quality. We have more time to talk to each other. It's more relaxed. Everyone really has the time to really keep the time and talking to each other. And it's not about quantity, but that's also maybe a kind of special for our industry. It's always about quantity, quantity, quantity. But I think it doesn't matter.
No.
For me, it would be even better to have 20 talks, but good talks instead of 100.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we already have a lot. So
No, and that's it. And I think also the percentage of, because it should not be that you are only seeing your existing customers and drink a cup of coffee with them, but it's also important that at least you see new potential customers. And I already asked, that was one of my first questions when I entered the booth this morning, is we have already a list of new customers. So that is helping, so PSI is helping us at least on leads. And that's the positive side. So it's not only drinking coffee with your existing customer.
Cool.
Yeah.
We are done. 20 minutes. Super fast.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Very inspiring. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll keep in touch in the future.
Okay.
And learn from each other maybe.
Yeah.
Or I can learn from you.
No.
So thanks a lot for your time. Thanks, Peter, for
Thank
making
you
this
for having
happen.
me.
We will see us later. We have some
sure.
more international, some more Dutch guests
Yeah.
coming in. And so yeah, enjoy the day.
Yeah. And thank you for standing here with huge experience from
Thanks
the
a lot.
promotion industry.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Peter.
Bedankt.
Das war ganz ohne Produkte, kann man auch 20 Minuten füllen. Das war einmal kurz, ein kurzer Talk auf internationaler Ebene über die Industrie, über die PSI. Wir machen kurz einen Break, wieder 5 Minuten. Wir sind um 11:30 Uhr mit dem nächsten Gast wieder zurück. Peter, wir sehen uns später nochmal.
Ja.
Versprochen? Wunderbar. Kurzer Break, wir sind gleich wieder zurück. Danke, ciao, ciao.